but God is real. I used to come home drunk from school, laying up with men, out there prostituting, having oral sex with my mouth, licking men's balls. Thank you. Amen. Remember you in prayer. Anyone else have a word from the Lord, a testimony?
Yo, YouTube, what's going on? Trey back again, hit you with a video. Now this video right here comes out of somebody at church in some neighborhood, but it's hard to decide or figure out which church it comes from, since, you know, in the community, in black community that is, we have a church on almost every street corner, and yet and still we feel with so much turmoil and depression and oppression there that you have to wonder sometime, where's Jesus at? Where is God when you need him? But he is right there in the midst if you could just weather this storm. But we have this young lady, and the reason why I say young lady, I don't want to call her old because I really don't know how old she is, but I'm just going to say this young lady basically comes up in a church and she does what people quite naturally do. They want to get things off their chest. They tell the truth. They have what you have, testimony, if you will, for those of you who have went to church, and for those of you who don't go to church and ain't never really been in a church and stayed no more than 30 minutes, or you only come on Easter Sundays where they have the meals at, which a lot of people tend to do that. They don't want to go hear the service. They just go whenever the church cooking, which is probably like 2 or 3 times a year, because they used to cook every damn month or twice a month. Now you barely get a hot plate from them. I don't know where that money going, but anyway, that's a different topic for a different video. But this lady basically comes in there bearing her soul, giving what you call a testimony. And anybody ever been in one of these churches knows exactly how it goes. You know, sometimes people, first thing they stand up, they would say, first give it honor to God, the pastor, the wife, or somebody say the pastor, the first lady, the missionaries, the deacons, the usher board, and they just start naming a list of people. You be like, golly, go on, get to the confession, to the testimony. But this woman right here went a little bit too far. Now, you know, the church house is a place for you to come bare your soul, but you cannot tell too much truth, kind of like YouTube, if you will. You know, you got to kind of like water it down, if you will. You know how you used to have 2 or 3 packs of Kool-Aid and a lot of sugar to make a nice sweet glass, you know, but in church and also on YouTube, you got to use 1 pack with no sugar. You can't have it strong. You feel what I'm saying? So the word have to be diluted down a little bit. Little bit. I mean, I didn't mean to say bitch, but anyway, it had to be diluted down a little bit. But what you end up getting is a watered down product, if you will. But this lady right here decided to do one thing, and I admire her for that. She decided to keep it 100. And 100, she really kept it, because when she stood up and said,
God is real.
I know God is real. I used to come in the house drunk. I used to be out there prostituting, sleeping with men, using my mouth, licking their balls, and then a preacher hurry up and snatch my, she up here like this, right here, like, you know, and she's standing back looking like, y'all gonna let me finish? Because I got more to say. Y'all think I'm gonna stop at the balls part? Nah, we finna tell it all. I was back there tossing groceries and everything, just trying to get that $10, $20 rock. You know, I'm glad God delivered me from that, because if it wasn't for the Lord, I wouldn't have had now another, like Mike Epps said, I wouldn't have had now another rock pop into my life, if you will. And I feel on that, because if it wasn't for the Lord, I wouldn't have had now another channel my damn self. But that's on a different level. So I feel what she's saying, but how do you get up in front of church? And this is what you got to be careful when you tell people to tell the truth, because, you know, their truth might not be your truth. You might stand up and say, well, you know, I want to thank God for delivering me from all these haters who's basically been on my ass all 2017, you know, hating on me, coming on my channels, you know what I'm saying? You always have one person that's gonna push the thumbs down button like that's really hurting you or something. You know, I want to thank God for giving me the strength to overcome these haters, the Steve Harveys, everybody else, putting a voice on his radio without my permission. You know, I want to thank the God that I know that's in heaven above for delivering me, you know, because so many times I could have been dead, laying there, sleeping in my grave, if you will. Now, you know, people got all kinds of ways they give their testimony, and you know, it's a platform, it's a place for people to tell the truth, but at the same time, you have to be mindful, you have to be respectable. Everything was cool, but when she got to the oral sex part, I'm sitting back like eating popcorn, like, watch this, she finna spill the beans. I thought she finna talk about tossing salads, looking groceries and everything, Caesars, chef salads, whatever else, But when she said using my mouth, licking men's balls, and she just scratched that balls part out, and then what make it so bad? The preacher the guy, whoever he was, I guess he was one of the preachers there, one of the ministers there. He decided to snatch the mic from, give it to the lady. I guess she was conducting the testimonial service, because in these churches you have about 20 different people that have to come up. You have your person come up and do the leading the song off. A different person come up there lead the prayer off. Then another person come up there pass the offering plate around. Then you have two other people out in the front singing, and then you have somebody else leading into the second prayer before the preacher come up and preach. So you got about 20, 30 different people who gonna stand up in there and talk to you before you even get to the sermon, or before church is even over. Now, I don't know how some of y'all churches do it, because some of y'all churches only 30 minutes, 15 minutes, and the only thing you hear is people in there just laughing and talking and playing music, But in most of these black churches, you're gonna get the full course meal. You're not gonna get no TV dinner or whatnot. You're gonna go through everything. But at the same time, when I seen this, I had to laugh at first, but yet and still at the same time, I feel sorry for the woman, because, all BS aside, it's just the fact, this shows you that crack is a hell of a drug. And I'm not saying that to mock the words of Rick James, what he said about, cocaine. He said cocaine is a hell of a drug, but crack is a hell of a drug. Crack, cocaine, sisters and brothers, they go the same. The only thing missing is baking soda. That's it. With a Pyrex bowl. No, anyway, you don't need to know that recipe. But this goes to show you the level of damage that drugs have done inside of our communities. That's another point I want to hit home. Not only, to make light of the situations, and also give you a little background on, the church testimonies, if you will, but it goes to show you the effects of crack and these drugs done had on our community, where it's damaged people, our aunties, depends on how old you is, some of your grandparents, because some of y'all ain't that old, But anyway, it shows you how damaged our people is inside of these communities, where you have this drug basically been running rampant for the last 30, 35, 40 years almost. I think at least 35, 40 years at the most, because it was introduced in like the early 70s, the late 70s, one of them, when they had the big drug epidemic in the 80s with the Ronald Reagan administration, if you will. But it shows you how people is in need of a word, and the word is the truth, and the truth is the light. So I want to say one thing, not know. I just want to say, when we see people like this, it's okay to laugh and joke, because she slipped up and really gave her true testimony, even though she wasn't lying. They told her to tell the truth, and she felt in her heart she needed to tell the truth. And some people don't have no cut, and no cut just mean they don't have no filter. They're gonna tell you exactly how it was. Now, she could have went in deeper details than that, because if they would have left that microphone in her hand another 5 or 10 seconds, we would have been hearing about all kinds of stuff in the back of the houses, behind trucks, all kinds of things. But I hope this woman, life be able to change, even though her mind might not be able to be the same as it was. Just like we know people in our families, or people that we know, or we just see from down, walking up and down the street as we pass by, going on our day-to-day lives, that these drugs destroy most of their minds, and these people would never be the same. And a lot of us kin to them. Don't act like we don't have somebody in our family that's a junkie. It might be that one cousin, that one brother or sister, or that one uncle or auntie who's strung out on drugs, and no matter what you do, and no matter how long they've been clean, it's like something is still kind of off with them, So this woman probably been stopped using drugs years ago, but the effects of crack and heavy drug usage is still inside of her mind, which is basically halfway destroyed. But back to what I was saying, for her to get up in front of that congregation in that church to tell the truth like that really took a lot of nerve, because we also know that drug heads, crackheads have a lot of nerve also, because a crackhead will whoop your ass for $1. You know what I'm saying? Or $1. Oh, one of them $1 and try to go back to that same store in that corner and watch. Don't they ass be standing on the side of the store? Oh, right there in front of the store. As soon as you walk up there, where my dollar at? If you ain't got it, they gonna fight you. They don't care. So be careful when you around certain type of people, because what I do, like if I see them at a store or something, and they ask for some change, I give them some change. You know, I'm like, man, you can have more than that. You want 75 cents on? Here go $1. You know, well, buy me this. I don't buy them no beer or nothing. I'm like, okay, I'll buy you something to eat. Now, I'll give you the money. I drive off. You buy what you want to buy, but I'm not buying you no beer or no cigarettes because I don't support anybody else habit like that. But at the same time, you still have to have a heart for people, just because remember one thing, those still are your brothers and your sisters at the same time. Just because they slipped up and fell by the wayside does not mean they are not still human. They still they still should be respected as a human being. You know, forget what they have done, because a lot of us done a lot of things. Now, a lot of us ain't never put no rocks to our mouths, or a lot of us ain't never put no scrotum sacks to our mouths. But at the same time, a lot of people have done things that they're not too proud of. But it's for this woman to be able to stand up there in front of that church and give her testimony, man. You know, that goes to show you God got to be real. I don't care what nobody say. You can believe in what you want to believe in, but until you witness the true power of the Most High, you can say what you want to say. But, you know, I hope you all get the point I was trying to make light of the situation, but at the same time deliver some truth in the situation. You know, it was funny what she did, but it's sad what happened to her at the same time. Now think about that today. If you want to share some of your testimonies with the Know the Ledge Show family, please feel free to chime in the comment section. And also, have you witnessed people giving strange testimony? Because I knew one guy, and I'm finna cut the video short. His name was Brother Jackson. I'll never forget this. It was a few years ago in a Church of God in Christ culture, because I was raised in a Church of God in Christ, even though it's not the same as what it used to be. Now anybody can go in there and be a preacher right now, and not even a bit more anointed by a long shot. But anyway, they had this one one man. He was an old man. He was like 70-some years old back then, so he probably about, you know, damn near 85 now. But he stood up and said that the devil had called him. And he's one of the type of old men that had glasses on. You know, the one with the same old gray suit every other Sunday. He only had 2 or 3 suits, I think. But anyway, he always had a handkerchief, because you know how sometimes when people talk, he said, yeah, Pastor, the devil had called me on my phone. I'm looking down at the phone, and it just ringing. I had my curtains on. I had my curtains open, so I could look outside my backyard, and the phone was just ringing, and something told me to pick that phone up. And when I picked that phone up, the devil said, look here, I'm standing outside in your backyard. This is exactly what that man said. Lord knows I'm telling the truth. And the whole church bust out laughing, including the pastor. But the man did not even break character or whatever. He just kept on telling his story. He said, so the devil told me he was in the backyard. So I looked outside the backyard, and sure enough, he was standing right there, bright as day. Boy, we bust out laughing. And the preacher interrupted him and said, well, what did you do? What did you do, Brother Jackson? He said he took off running, which he really did. Because I think it was his sister or somebody was, you know, around the same age. She got up and vouched for him, like, yes, he ran to my house. He ran all the way from his house. 70-some-year-old man ran all the way from his house to his sister's house, which was a few blocks up the street, you know, because he really thought the devil was in his backyard about to get him. But them are all kinds of crazy testimonies that I have heard. Let the people know if you have heard some also that was very strange and shocking also, because some of them are very funny, some of them are very sad, and some of them are, you know, are just things that you would never hear. But anyway, if you like the video, push that like button. If you like, subscribe. Definitely share the video with your non-believers, and also people, you know, who's inside of the ministry, if you will, the gospel. And to this woman right here, I hope that she stays clean. Hope that she was clean when she was giving that testimony. But, you know, you have to be careful when you tell people to tell their truth, because your truth might not be my truth. You might say nice things. I might get up there and just spill the whole beans. You feel what I'm saying? Anyway, till next time, y'all stay blessed. I'm out.